Okay, let's start with signs at the end of the world, number 2. And sort of like episode 218, where I mentioned sign number 1, it was like a generic start. Um, but I mentioned, right, that kids are going to be used by demons this time in a heavy way. Heavy just means they're going to become like main criminals, like main perpetrators of a lot of crimes of their own. So, be careful with children from now on. It's no longer the way things used to be in the past. Be careful with the typical neighbor, the typical cashier, the typical person. A lot of them are extremely mentally ill, but they don't necessarily appear that way. They'll just try to appear like bad people. But it's not hard to know someone who's mentally ill, who's pretending to be normal. You get me? Since the others actually look like it. Since the others actually look like it because of their face, right? Their body, like how drug addicts look maybe who are homeless or something. I know. The way you can tell is just have a conversation with them. Look right into their eyes. They look really creepy and really sick in the face. They don't have a normal face. And there's that sort of violent quality, right, that a mentally ill person would have. That sort of, that face that just looks like it's about to burst with violence. Okay, and then the other thing is they pretend really hard to be normal. They try to walk slow, act. It's like they're robots. They don't just walk normally, such as the two people who just passed in front of me. Anyways, don't walk around, obviously, right, labeling people this or that. I'm just saying, right? A lot of psychologically twisted humans are coming out, and that just means you're evil. Mental illness just means you're a bad person. We're not talking about things like depression, anxiety. Well, that can happen to people. It's just emotions. What we mean, like mentally ill. You have weird personality disorder. That disorder just means that's a demon coming out of them. It's not going to come out of a good person. Demons possess good people because of some sin. That doesn't make you a bad person. Okay, but, and there's sins that make you a bad person, like the sin is evil conduct. But what if someone drank alcohol? What if someone just had sex before they got married? Like that, things that don't make you evil, they possess you. Okay, but they're just going to be thoughts. They're just going to be stuck in your head. But you get me? You're not going to get mentally ill. That is done by the person becoming evil first. So don't treat mentally ill people like good people. They're evil. We're done with this. And they're usually the ones demons have always used to persecute prophets and past people. So then that's why, do you see how logical this is? You can't be like, what I'm saying doesn't make sense. That's why then demons always try to accuse the prophets of mental illness, which in past history meant crazy or insane. And the demons who follow me, that's why they try to label me mentally ill, because I'm in the same persecution those prophets were in. Okay, so that means exactly what you think. The humans they're using who are mentally ill, and ones who, right, just have nice lives, but they, right, are psychologically like that, right? That doesn't mean they don't have jobs or anything. Sometimes usually extremely narcissistic and psychopathic, right? Those criminals, obviously, those predators in prison, they're going to constantly try to accuse you of mental illness because that's the human they're possessing, their quality. If that human was normal in that mental way, right? They were just a typical sinner, they're never going to accuse you or bother you. So the accusation quality, right, is what demons use, yes, but they're using mentally ill humans to do that because they have a quality they're not happy to have. They don't like being mentally ill, correct? So they don't mind being possessed and harass people and accuse them of things. And I told you the covert mentally ill human is the narcissist, the psychopath, the one you saw at all your jobs who always try to act fake dominant over you. They like to act dominant over you. They like to call you to meetings. They like to micromanage. That's not just bad behavior. They're psychologically sick in the head. You get me? Because they're so manipulative at a level that you and I would say is not just the typical toxic, right? It's like they're feeding off of it or something, So they're too demonic. They don't have a soul. They don't have that sort of ability to feel things like others. Okay, that's high level possession. Demons possess people, yes, but then they can possess someone too much, right? The other ones would be perverts like LGBT and other pervert types. The ones who like to say, for example, as males, that they want young females when they're older. No, you're possessed at a high level, because perversion also means predator. You're also psychologically twisted or mentally ill. But I just want you to know the sort of definition of mental illness doesn't exist. Like this sort of sick person. No, they're just evil, okay? They're being attacked, yeah, but it's their fault because they become evil. Then demons get permission. You see? Because you became evil, they get permission to cause you these weird qualities then, right? Narcissistic, psychopathic, perverted, creepy, going after children, animals, like that. It's just evil, therefore. Self-harming, that's not normal, okay? But normal people, good people, even righteous people, they can attack our mind. And even these ones, right, they can also attack their mind. I just need to separate it for you. They can attack your body and your mind with witchcraft. They can send you sadness, depression, anger, rage, intrusive thoughts, horrible dreams. That's not mental illness. That's just attack. So we're gonna call that mental oppression, because you're oppressing the person. They're not sick. They're not crazy. Okay, so that's what they try to get you to react, because that's a quality of a crazy person, right? So then that sort of demon I saw all these years at my jobs, it started 2015, was someone approaching me, harassing me. They have all these qualities: narcissistic, perverted, creepy, everything you could think of. Not necessarily mentally ill, right? Like the crazy ones talking to themselves, not necessarily like that, but more like the narcissistic type. They're gonna approach me, they're gonna say something, they just want me to argue or say something. Is that sickness or craziness or weird? No, that's normal, right? Someone cussed you out, insulted you, said something really nasty or sexist. But since they're not just a mean person, right, who's just being a mean, since they're very harmful in the mind, that means they're heavily possessed, and that's a demon that moment. So they're going to use the quality demons have always had in human history, accusing you of the qualities of whoever they possess to harass you. If this person's a pervert, they're going to harass you of being a pervert. If they're mentally ill, they're going to accuse you of mentally ill. They're not going to pick some other quality to accuse you of. So that's why narcissistic humans, when they're parents, they like to go after children and they like to torture them. And whoever is a healthy kid, they like to constantly label that person sick or try to involuntarily put them at a mental hospital. You get me? They like to accuse, make up stories. So you constantly live in fear of being accused. It's very frightening, because there's no normalcy. Everything you say can be used against you. Imagine living in a household like that. So I grew up in a family like that. So I know what the hell a narcissist is. I know what a pervert is, including a pervert within your own family, where the males are perverted, the females are perverted. So they're not actual brothers or sisters or mothers or fathers. And I know that mother, right? This filthy family God put me in just so I understand evil. They're not my family. This filth doesn't belong to me. So don't link them to me. God just put me there. I know what a witch looks like, because the mother is a witch. And I know how she destroys her sons and uses the daughters, you know? So, anyways, we're gonna start to see, you're gonna start to see, usually, keyword usually, families who are like this, they're usually the poor families, they're usually the large families, they're usually the ones that will come heavily from immigrants. Immigrants are all types of humans, right? I know. But usually who immigrates illegally? Really wonderful, moral people? No, they follow the law. So it's the ones who are criminal, right, in that way, who are gonna usually come into a country illegally. So when I say immigrant, I mean like sort of, crazy ones. Okay, so just observe them. That's why when they come to countries illegally, then they start to commit crime right away. You know, it's because demons are not pushing good people to come to your country, because right, they're under so much pressure, and for some reason they just did it illegally. No, you know what I mean? Good people, if they really are in desperation and you will not let them enter your country legally, they just beg you. They do what God would teach you to do. Ask the person. It's their house. If I came to your house today, right, there's some sort of horrible thing happening outside, I have nowhere to go. If I'm a good person, I'm gonna ask you. If you say no, I'm just gonna go to the next house. If I go through everyone's house and they all say no, I'm just gonna stay outside. I'll just wait for my death. Do you see what morality is? We don't take away other people's rights. Okay, so entering people's countries illegal. That's not a good person who's doing that. Again, some people could be pushed into it, right? They might be lied to. They might be like, yeah, yeah, it's free. Let's go. Like that. If there's a language barrier. So always use common sense, and you have to be careful. I just mean people who really entered illegally knowing what they're doing. And then two, others are just children and teenagers. They just follow the family, right? The family says, let's go. Do they know what laws are technically at that age? No. So that's what I mean. Just common sense, right? Talking about grown adults who know what they're doing, or young people who know what they're doing. So that's intentional. You know what I mean? There's good people in this world, obviously, every race and both genders, but demons want to bring the human beings who are usually the worst of every ethnicity or race to countries that are civilized, so that, right, that country doesn't even evolve. These people don't go back and make it great, getting some education here or somewhere else. They'll bring weird ones here. So that's what I'm used to. Heavily, you'll see them obviously in every ethnicity, but Africans suffer from this a lot. Mexicans suffer from it to some degree. And that's why you get me, their countries are not civilized, because demons are sabotaging the healthy ones, the smart ones, the intellectual ones, the religious ones, the good ones, using these wicked ones that outnumber them. So the countries will always be in poverty, war, civil conflict, or civil war conflict. And these wicked ones who cause the problems will come to these countries instead of, right, the good ones coming to your countries. They learn something here. They start businesses here, and then they help their people, but they can't. Right? There's this thing they do every time a Somali person comes to this country or some other country. They get a degree in doctor or something. They go back to Somalia, right, to do something. Boom, they're bombed the next day. You know? So people really need to observe why some ethnicities, some races, right, while evil humans, demons possess them to mock them, be like, you guys are like animals or monkeys. You never evolve. You never do anything. You Africans are weird. Why can't you be like Europeans and be wealthy? Because you wicked demons are cursing us. You're putting witchcraft on us, just like I'm an African and I can't seem to achieve any. I know I'm a different situation, but still, right, I get to experience the demons who also go after Africans. God put me in their race for a reason. So I get to see where the sabotage is coming from. They're using witchcraft. They're using spiritual things that you and I cannot see, so that then they can get away with it more. They work with their demons, and they curse their own siblings. They curse their own children. They curse their own parents. They curse whoever you would say in that family, in that neighborhood, is the healthy, smart person, is the sometimes just beautiful. Just any blessing you have, but usually the intellectual, you know? And there you go. So since it's usually the intellectual, right? You're smart, you're healthy, you're going to do something, right? Your mind is awesome. That's why then when they target you, sabotage you, and harass you, at some point you're going to have evidence of it, right? It's going to be physical behaviors. That's what then their goal is to accuse you of mental illness. Exactly. That's the way to then say, no, that sibling ran away from us. They're crazy, blah, blah, blah. You get me? Because you disowned them or something. You cut them off like I did to that evil narcissistic family. Because the goal is to actually try to act dominant over people, even though we're a creation. Only God is dominant over us. Demons always like to instill in evil humans to act dominant over others. Do they think that way of you? No. They're the weak ones, obviously. Evil is weak. But as a human, do they think that way? No. It's just evil. You get me? Evil means opposite of good. So what's the opposite of truth? Lying. Okay, so that's the quality of evil. It's always lying. So, right, signs of the end of the world in Islam says that there's going to be too much lying, too much falsehood that people will not know. You get me? People will be so scared because of the sort of constant lying. So I get to see how that is happening. Demons are increasing humans like this in the world who are this type of families. I didn't say person. I said family. You get me? They intentionally make sure they breed too much. They intentionally make sure they just make them do this. You know, just have way too many kids. And they abuse them. They traumatize them. They teach them witchcraft. They tell their little kids, go touch that person. Go hit it like that. They're like, you get me? Demons are increasing humans like this by corrupting them to be this way. And you might be like, well, sooner or later they would have become evil anyway. right? This was the path they would have liked anyway. How does that sort of matter? It matters because they're constantly targeting people in their family who are different than them. You get me? They don't leave people alone. So you actually should not, as human beings, ignore when people tell you that narcissistic people stalk them, right? That they either don't have a relationship with anymore, romantically or family. You guys shouldn't be like, okay, they're that horrible person. No, you really should be asking yourself, right? Bad people exist. They leave people alone. But why does this type not leave someone alone? They don't think they're God. They're just a creation, right? It's because it's not what they want you to think. It's not obsession. It's to put witchcraft on that person. It's so that person doesn't break bloodline curses and be a different person. You know? Okay, so if we have a lot of these human beings that demons are sort of just, they just make sure they come up to be this way in these two races, usually, right? Hispanics and Africans. And that's why they're the poor ones. That's why their countries don't evolve. And then to some degree, they started to then do that too. Arabs, okay. And due to after the Prophet's death, right? Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, basically after him, the accusations start. They accuse him of being a pervert. I told you their own qualities. They accuse him of being mentally ill. I told you their own qualities. And criminal, right? Some sort of terrorist, some sort of murder. Every single bad quality about this prophet is an accusation. Just like every day, random people who don't know me, their demons possess them, approach me, accuse me. They come to my jobs. They just I have evidence. You can just go to my coworkers or past jobs. There's constant people just lying about me, approaching me. I go to hotels. The front desk worker just starts to snap all of a sudden. They just want to kick me out and call a cop on me. What the hell? So do you see how demons operate? They don't need the person to know you. They just need an evil person, just like the weird one who's in his car this whole time, watching and staring at me from his car, not wanting to come out. His head also doesn't tilt. It's like a statue. So these types of evil, creepy, nasty, perverted, narcissistic humans that I'm in right now, who, right, don't like to then expose their character to you. They don't want you to see they're just like a mentally ill person. They're so heavily mentally sick. They have the same symptoms of mentally ill people, but they just hide it, and they like to direct it at their own families. You see what they do? They don't direct it at strangers as much. Okay, but then for strangers, they like to act fake friendly, like that chameleon. And they're going to be that coworker that's way too friendly. But if you ever cut them off or you don't want to talk to them, just do it. Just test them. They're going to become obsessive all of a sudden. You start to think, did you just treat me like an object? Did you just treat me like you're some sort of dominant over me? You're going to get angry. They're not doing that. They keep always popping up in your life because every time they pop up, they're putting witchcraft on you. You get me? It's just that God limits them. He doesn't really let them have the ability to put witchcraft on you that you and I would say is big. Unless they see you. They see your body. So that's why the demons stalk me. They can't put witchcraft on me, a curse on me, a spell on me, if they're not around me. Okay, so it's only when I disowned that filthy family that then other people started to join in at a larger level, even though they were always being used before. And they're real deal targeting me, And they're just like them. They just have the same personalities. They're just your typical employee or customer in this world, right? Their body doesn't look beautiful or anything. You just know they're just lowly, They're everywhere. Okay, so don't mistake them for someone poor that moment. Like how sometimes they make these good people I'm telling you they're following and persecuted, the way they make them homeless and lose their jobs by putting witchcraft on them and cursing them, right? Which I've had to deal with, losing jobs because of this constant envy in weird humans who are similar to that filthy family. And demons always use Africans more than any other group. And thank God I'm not around Muslims. If I was around them, there's no way I'd be in society. I'd probably go to the mountains or something. It would just double the torture. Because they have that lowliness. Because they're not acting civilized, right? They're not choosing to be civilized. They're choosing to be wicked and target their own race, their own people, their own religious group. Not that it matters who you target, but you get me. Other people uplift each other, and crime is just being done by like the bad person, right? But these people, at a large number, are targeting their own. So you get me? Just as a demon can teach someone to be a homosexual, another one to go after children, another one to go and be a witch, like that, or a sorcerer, they can teach these ones to just go after their own race. So I see it a lot. These evil humans obviously hurt and harass everybody in society covertly using these ways and directly at some point, but they work in mobs. They don't know each other, but that narcissist will enter a store. Another narcissistic human will just help them. It's just creepy. They just seem to know each other and work together because it's not the human. They're just possessed. They enter the store. They're creepy to you. Hey, a young lady. They just say that to you as a creepy old male. And you're a cashier just trying to not lose your job, even though you have the right to attack these people, cuss these people out. Say, we don't live in a moral society where you have your God-given right to punish these people. You're going to get loss. You're going to have a loss. And that's the injustice that signals the world is ending. There's just too much injustice. You can't even speak up for yourself. And if you ask me, I'm sorry, if I ask you, what is the reason why people don't stand up for themselves? In situations you and I would say it's their human nature to say something. Why would you and I maybe sometimes use another tactic if we're assertive, healthy people, and others just completely lose that quality? You're going to be accused. Do you agree? So I have to deal with that quality of constantly being accused. Constantly being accused. Not randomly, but when I stand up for myself. So evil thinks it can come at you, hit you at your door or your life or your job or something. It thinks it can come and act like some big dominant thing over you. When you say, I dare you to do that again, it freaks out and runs in a little corner like the weak little baby it is. But then it thinks, aha, let me do witchcraft. Let me curse this person so other people come to the store in my behalf. Because, right, maybe you reported them, everybody saw them, harassed you or something. It's just, they just want to hide. They want to hide the fact that they want to retaliate against you. So they work with demons. That could be a family. That could be a stranger who saw you. That could be, right, someone who you dated, but then now you broke up because they're a horrible person. And now it's the envy. It's just nothing but envy. They're jealous at a level you and I will not understand. But they're just evil. But it's not personal. I don't want you to think they really picked on you. No, they went to the other store and harassed another cashier. Some of them are being called Karens. They're just narcissists. Let's not call them Karens, but they're demons, just so you know. Because that's why they're so good at lying. They're so good at saying things, and they don't seem to have a moment where they freeze or forget how to argue. Because that demon prepared what to say. He studied this person. He studied the store. Another demon could possess your manager, make the manager go against you. Like that, it's so unfair. You know, they surround you with bad people sometimes, and no one stands up for you. Okay, so anyways, right? So sign number 2, this quality of constantly being accused, always being accused wherever you go, and the fear of always being accused also impairing you even more than necessary. Okay, sign number 3, which, right, is because these types of families are, right, sometimes they come as individuals, will just go everywhere in these sort of public places, right? So something I started to experience 2015, right? Seeing these humans who come to my job, they say something, they do something, usually perverted or sexist. I'm telling you guys, the theme is always perversion and sexism, because God is trying to show you that comes from demons and not his scripture. He's trying to show you his prophets were not obviously perverted. He's trying to show you that. So he's just making that quality harass you. You know what I mean? Because at a lecture in a religious place, they're basically telling you perversion is okay. You get me? But they make it seem as if then they're nice. They like to act like evil and good can mix. They're not going to necessarily cuss you out that moment in the lecture, right? Or the Islamic or church environment. Thank God that demon left. He just sat there watching us all day. I faced away because that's what it is all. It's just covert. They're never going to stop staring at you. They do not care that they're staring at somebody and watching them from their car like that. They don't care because there's too much darkness in the world. Criminals and bad people overall are just feeling more bold, you know? So why are they feeling bold? Because the average person walking by is just like them. So who the hell are they going to be scared of? Well, just a few years ago, a lot of humans were decent, or coworker, or customer, or cash. You know what I mean? Everybody would defend you. There are times that my customers defended me, you know, just by looking at these weirdos who would approach me. Even, right? Okay. Anyways, you're just going to start to see a lot of these, I would say lowly, right? Very lowly sort of dumb, like very ugly in their appearance. They don't take care of their bodies. Doesn't matter if they put too much makeup on or whatever. Human beings. Two, they're gonna always have rented vehicles. They're always gonna rent vehicles because usually they've become homeless or unemployed, or you get me, they came out of jail or prison or mental hospital. Um, a lot of them just, you get me, they're losing their jobs because they harass people. You get me, at some point it catches up to them. Someone catches them, obviously. Very lowly humans like this, and others, because they're under bloodline curses, right? They're cursed, and it's their fault. There's a witch among the family. There's someone actually doing that. Um, they're all gonna just, it doesn't matter what jobs they have. They usually become police officers, jail workers. So a lot of them love to go into nursing and medical field, narcissists. So you get me, they could have a job, but they're lowly. See, this is how God protects you. When he knows evil humans and filthy, lowly humans will get great jobs, right? He knows wealth is a choice. They can get it. He makes them look in a way where you know they're lowly. They're just their body, their appearance. It just, you know they're not honorable people. They're lowly, you know? A lot of them, I mean, again, right? We're not trying to hurt people, but are very obese. You know what I mean? It's just that lowliness. They don't care about their body. They're just ugly, okay? And others could be models, right? They're the ones who maybe take care of their body that way, but they expose themselves another way then. You see, God still found, he found you another way. They expose their perversion more publicly, you know? She's like an 18-year-old female or 19 or 20 or something, and she's with this creepy old male, you know? Like that. They expose themselves when you would say that physical appearance is not ugly necessarily. They expose themselves. They're nasty in a society. They with humans who are perversion for them, which just means they're making themselves get raped consciously and selling their body. So you see, they're the same. They're also narcissistic. They're also these same types of humans, but they're not poor. So that's the only difference between them. And this one is basically choosing to do that to themselves, whether they're male or female. Usually the males might become escorts and sell themselves that way. They don't necessarily stay with one. But you know what I mean? Of course, I see them sometimes being with a female 10 years older than them. So creepy. But then the female, same thing. The male, same thing. Prostitutes selling themselves in these creepy, weird bars and places. They go to porn. They, goodness, what's the other example? Right? You'll see it. They're in these modeling careers. They're in these weird places. Young people who have a bright future, but they're just in perversion, you know? They always exposing themselves. They always going from, if they're dating people their own age group, which is not more than 5 years, age difference, they are always breaking up. And it's another one, because it's just too much. Too much what? Perversion, you know? Too much perversion. So yeah, as I was trying to say, it's because of that trauma. They've been abused in some way. Some creepy old male taught them that way, or some creepy old female taught them something. It doesn't matter how their family looks sort of from an external place, as if they're not criminals or something. Usually, when we would say human beings came from evil families, but that family didn't go to jail or prison, and then we're thinking, well, how are they criminals? It's perversion. And you might be like, okay, that's the other type of criminal. But that's why he gets away with it. And that's why no one can figure out why these humans who come from them have so much weird, right, qualities, because we don't know. But why then don't we know? Because perversion means it likes to hide. It is, I would say, the only evil that, if we were to say evil likes to hide, this is the one that truly likes to hide. It's just gonna hide. So that's why it likes to go after children, and it says to them, don't say anything or something bad will happen to you. As if something filthy, worse than bad that they're describing to the kid didn't already happen to them. These kids are weak, just so you know. We're not going to babysit human beings. We're not going to treat them like they're normal or something. It's not normal for a child to just allow themselves to be raped or molested. Many of them just see their stories. They always had moments where they could have ran or said something or did something. Sometimes their family members are in the next room or something. Like, no, okay? Do not dishonor the human race and act like just because you're young or just because you're female, as if the pervert is some sort of difficult thing to deal with, or as if humans don't know how to deal with it or don't know how to protect themselves or don't know how to. They're human, okay? 4 or 5 year olds are shooting predators. 4 or 5 year olds are fighting. 4 or 5 year olds are setting them up. Like, we have honorable people in our species, and we have people who truly don't actually care that that kind of filth happens to their body. And you can't be like, please just don't. This is the only thing I'm gonna get angry about. And then two, they continue. They continue to allow these predators, whether it's their siblings, whether it's their parents, whether it's others, to keep raping them and molesting them and coming back to them. Okay? Don't go there with me. It's their choice. Just because they're small doesn't mean they're not evil. So you might be like, what are they then? What are these types of people? They're evil people. They're evil children. And they're the evil children because they're evil, because they don't mind this filth happening to them, because they don't fight, they don't say, they don't do anything. They don't do what God created them to do. They don't tell anyone. Well, sometimes people privately figure it out and say to them, okay, you're under our protection. Tell us, did someone ABC? Never. They don't say anything. So they're like loyal to the predator. Don't go there with me. Just because they're young doesn't mean evil doesn't exist. They're filthy and they're evil. And they're the ones that demons teach them to grow up and be the same predators. And before they actually grow up, they're going to start to pop out every day in your society. These kids will look really creepy. Their face looks like some sort of tear happened to it because there's too much trauma. It doesn't always mean it's this one. It could be something else. And exactly, they come from those usually, if it's African Americans, it's obvious. It's easy. They're those nasty females always cussing, cursing the kid, yelling at them like some grown adult, threatening them. Like, shut you piece of something. It's a child, and the way she talks to them is crazy. I've seen the males do that, but usually the females will. You know why? Because the idea of technically violence belongs to males, right? Okay, so the female is going to use her words more if we were to say evil. She can only technically be violent to a kid, and it's up to the kid to defend themselves. She can't do everything, and the male cannot do everything. So always you, the human, get to always honor yourself. So basically, demons use females. That's why they become witches, in the sense that, of course, there's the male version of a witch, right? Like a sorcerer. I mean, you know what I mean? It's like, it's not specific like, oh, that's a witch. It's more like they act like a witch sometimes. You get me? They may not even practice magic. Their words are usually what demons will use to put curses on kids. Okay, but am I saying to you that this is a bigger demographic? No. All abusive humans, which you would say males could even be technically seen as more abusive than females. All abusive humans are putting curses on you. They're putting witchcraft on you. Every horrible thing they say to you, you'll never amount to anything. That's a curse, So I'm just telling you what type of evil they do. I'm not saying it outnumbers the male, because that's sexism. That's wrong. Both genders are committing the same sins or evil, except the predatory one, which belongs to males, like rape, because they're obviously males. Okay, so these types of human beings, right? Because I just wanted to at least describe them to you. And then some of them will be the nonprofit owners, the church workers, the church owners, the mosque people there, the sheikhs, imams, etc. All the employees you can find at any business environment where you get a service. Wherever you go, humans who are just really bad in their character. They don't have manners. They're not gentle, wonderful, physically appearance, looking, healthy, decent humans. These sort of indecent, lowly humans will start to take all these important sort of public-facing jobs because they're replacing people. That's why people keep saying they can't find jobs. There's ghost jobs. I had an interview, but I was rejected. You know what I mean? They call me, but then they post the job again, like that. It's because demons are intentionally, right, just like they did to me, sabotaging our jobs when we have it, and then when we're looking for another one, preventing us from getting it, So the same thing that happened to me is going to happen to all of you. And now, because they're pushing you away, what did they used to do when I was looking for a job? They'd give it to these lowly humans. They give it to some who are mentally ill like that. Not to say people don't deserve a job. I just mean in that moment, they're not looking for a job. You get me? That mentally ill person is not actually trying to improve their life. That's a person demons are using that moment. They're going to quit the next day. They're going to harass someone, commit a crime. You get me? That's not an actual situation. Okay, so, but still, you would say there's discrimination going on, is the other reason why this is wrong. You get me? Because they're intentionally picking humans who are like this, very creepy, very narcissistic, mentally. They're intentionally giving them every job that you and I used to have so that you and I get pushed out who are normal. Because then they're going to use them to then, when we become customers, torment us. And the other evil that demons want to do, they want to harass you as an employee and they want to harass you as a customer, like that. So when you're the employee and you're a normal person, or you're actually more normal, right? Because you're actually a very moral person. Normal is like decent. Then they're going to bring you customers who are always targeting you. They don't bother anybody else in that store or that building. You know, they just come to you and torment you. They just, they want to accuse you. You know what I mean? Why? Because the goal is just global poverty, you know? So they are intentionally replacing these types of human beings with us. That's why we can't seem to get jobs. If we get a job, we get fired. Yeah. Especially these sort of easy jobs like cashier, UPS, FedEx, all these sort of jobs today where the witchcraft gang stalking uses to harass you with them. It's because they're hiring humans like that, and the normal FedEx and UPS and USPS and cops and firefighters and nurses of the past are gone. You agree a lot of nurses are being laid off or they're quitting like that. The demons after COVID thought to themselves, they're just going to steal everybody's job and then in that way steal everybody's home. And then because now people need to do those jobs, right? They're going to replace us with mentally ill, the sort of extreme version, and then the ones who are covert, the narcissistic, and then the other humans who are mentally ill, homosexuals and LGBT overall. Sorry, I got distracted. So yeah, obviously these humans need jobs too, right? It's just that it's discrimination. It's only them. You get me? It's going to be just them flooding the job versus that balance where, right, you go to this mall, there's a nice, normal, healthy, wonderful person who just greeted you and assisted you with a transaction. You go to another store, okay, this one's sort of mentally like that. That sort of fairness in society where you consider someone, you hire them, right? That fairness is going to die. There's too much discrimination, and they're going to intentionally pick mentally ill and narcissistic humans for every job. That you and I would say today, right? After COVID is just sort of dying. People are losing those jobs or they're being laid off, right? Like that. They're gonna put in front of you get me, it's not gonna be a healthy balance. I don't remember seeing extremely mentally ill people at my every typical store I went to. That's weird, right? Because as an employee, you want to hire someone who's healthy, right? Obviously, the job requires a healthy person. But in order for a human being to get a job, right, who is actually very mentally ill, right, it's just common sense, you know? If it fit the job, you give them the job. If they misuse the job, you have no choice but to fight like that. But if you're intentionally, you see 10 candidates and you reject all of them and you hire the psycho, what? Like, that's not, you get me? That's not you being normal and it just happened to be this one you hired. It's everywhere. It's everywhere and it's discrimination. You get me? Therefore, there's no balance. You're not going to see normal people and sick people. You're going to see just sick people at every front-facing job, like the job where people just are the main employees running around working. They're like service jobs. And then they're going to replace cops with mentally ill, severely narcissistic, very harmful, mentally ill cops. Not like the ones where you all knew, right, in sort of the history of this country. Just a weirdo comes and profiles somebody. Everybody would be like, he's narcissistic. We even saw him take a test and he actually qualified that way as a psychopath. No, you get me? Because evil is everywhere. That's not discrimination, right, that an employer did, right? People need a job. If they behave, there's no reason to fire them just because they're mentally ill, right? If they behave, then give them the job. They're human. They need to make a living. But are you only hiring them? That's weird. You see what I mean? So they're only gonna hire them. Ugh, I think I gave sign number 3. Um, so you get me? Whatever happened to me 2015, 2016, up to I'd say 2019, is I just kept getting tormented at workplaces. Constant sabotage, constant being fired, constant method being used was just me being accused. They just accuse me. And the ones who are accusing me are harassing me first and then accusing me. Or they make up stories about me. I've never even seen them, because that quality of lying about others is going to increase, which then also fits then, right, into other jobs, like a cop lying about people, accusing them for no reason, approaching them. You get me, at a higher level than you and I knew in past history, because that's just crime, right? Crime happens because bad people exist. Okay, but when our society is healthy, when we have a lot of decent people, then that happens sometimes, right? But things are not normal. Things are destroyed when that's just all you see at a higher rate than normal behaviors. And you're going to see these employees always engaging in these behaviors that I also saw. Not in the past, but this time more like 2024, which is they're always trying to touch my hand during the transaction. They're always trying to touch my back by coming behind me when I'm in line. The customers are always going to be possessed to try to invade your personal space. I feel like I should categorize this, otherwise it's too confusing, right? But these environments where you would say it's like a service, you're either an employee or you're a customer, right? There's some service being provided. There's going to be constant harassment with people stalking you, watching you, staring at you, and trying to touch you all the time. Some are going to be homosexual, so you're going to have to be careful. You might kill somebody, right? If you're a righteous person like me, you might kill these people. You don't want to go to prison, obviously. You don't live in a just world where God tells you that's okay. Beat the hell out of them, and they don't believe you can do that here. You're going to have to be smart about these things. And then, right? Constant accusation, right? In the past, I would get these jobs. After they made me homeless, I would get these cashier jobs again. Very easy, right? It's just a temporary thing. But then I realized the females that they were using to do not the training, but the hiring, right? That they weren't just narcissistic, you get me? No, they were extremely mentally ill, and they were homosexuals. So that's the other thing. And they're always trying to touch you. They're always trying to accuse you. They're always trying to act fake dominant over you. It's that constant narcissistic behaviors you and I would only see sometimes. But now it's like every manager is going to have it. Every customer is going to have it. Every coworker is going to have it. Where the hell do you go? And when you enter stores and buildings and places that is service, even the street, you're going to see these human beings with these jobs always projecting to you, including just regular ones, that you're a criminal, you're a pervert, you're this, you're that. Whether you actually are or not, there's just constant projection. They look at you and you know what they're projecting to you. All types of perversions, they'll just project it to you. Some might just walk by you and say it. I've seen humans do that to each other. They just walk by and say something like, this person's a homosexual, and they're not. That's a demon manifesting and insulting and mocking that person because that person's very close to God or a normal person. Like that. Because the goal is to increase perversion. They can also increase perversion by simply doing the act of harassing people with perversion. You get me? They're going to harass you with their own perversion by insulting you with it, accusing you of it. The same way prophets, right, were accused of perversion. The same way many times, who knows, they became poor because people harassed them. In the same way, they were always accused, okay. That sort of first level is going to just happen. So demons need humans like this, who would do this, who just harass people, who pretend to be normal and say hello, but they're disrespecting you. They usually say things like, hey, sweetheart, hey, honey, young lady, miss, not miss, Mrs. Hood, okay? They always say these words. They always say these terminologies. And it's going to come from human beings that when you look at them, you're thinking, I'm really stronger than you. I don't know why you think you can say that. It's a demon and it's not ever about strength. You know, as a male, females might try to act fake dominant around you. You might get confused. And as a female, right, who's a healthy, strong person, she might act like that around you too. Again, it's these sort of usual narcissistic looking. You can even see it on their face. They're narcissistic. Just fake as hell. They just look creepy. You know, they have that quality of acting fake dominant over people or fake control. One just walked by me, a female with that face, and it's so obvious to me she's like that. And those typical old ladies who are large bodies, pretend to be nice people, who work at schools and counselors and advisors, and they take these important jobs. I mean, again, everybody is going to have to get a job, but you get me? You know where to find them. I already talked about, right, in past episodes about other things happening. I just didn't call it signs of the end of the world, maybe, which is right. Hospitals and clinics, anything to do with healthcare and medical places, constantly trying to take advantage of people. Of right, if you're a female who's pregnant, they're gonna try to get you to lose the child. If that's not the case, then they're gonna try to tell you cannot have a normal birth. They're gonna try to push you to C-section and other things that are not healthy. And then if that's not the case, they're gonna try to get you to, do a sin of that stuff I talked about in my other episodes. You know, that sperm and all that stuff donation, and the other one, I forgot what it was called, and surrogacy and all these things. They're going to try to push you to that. A lot of healthy young people are going to constantly be told you cannot have kids. I'm telling you, a lot of them are lying to you. The United States is heavily known for that. They're known for ruining birth. They're ruining natural birth and pushing females to C-sections who are healthy. And again, demons are cursing you. They're putting witchcraft on you, curse on you. You have certain problems that then the doctor would say that to you. So that's why prayer is required. So this is actually going to, push human beings to come back to God if you think about it. Because, right, they're having problems they cannot technically solve without praying. So, right, mental hospitals, jails, prisons, you're going to start to constantly see perversions, extreme perversions, the same gender, always trying to touch you when you're sleeping, when you're going about normal situations. The jail workers are going to constantly try to take advantage of you being in those places. Every situation, throughout the booking process, throughout the uniform process, throughout they strip people, sadly. That obviously one of the things God is going to destroy and get rid of. No one's supposed to see your body. Every process of going to a jail, a prison, or a mental hospital, there's going to be constant acts of perversion, always trying to touch the body, see the body, accuse the person, say things to them like you're homosexual, you're a pedophile, you're this. It's just constant accusations of perversion, but then constant accusations of, what's the other one, guys? Mental illness. Because these humans have these qualities, you get me? And also because they're harassing you, they're doing evil to you, they're committing transgression and sin against you at a high level, and it's no longer harassment level when they start doing these perversions, right? Because harassment will be like maybe they cussed you out or something, right? In order to cover up, they're going to accuse you of mental illness. So when you guys start to see first the quality of perversion being directed at you, narcissistic sort of behavior being directed at you, which is connected to perversion because it's trying to act fake dominant over you. See, I don't ever say dominant because that's not real. No one's dominant, so no one can act or even think that they are dominant or could even, you get me? So they're acting fake dominant. So perversion is the same. Perversion is acting fake dominant over somebody, correct? Because you're treating them like some object or some weak person. Don't forget they try to touch and bother really strong people. So it's not something they direct at people who you and I would say sadly have chosen to be weak. You get me? Because this is not about touching them. This is about hoping they beat you up or kill you or something. Because we don't live in a just world that says, good job, they put you in prison. Okay, now your life is ruined. You're in a place where that behavior could repeat all day. They hope you get more criminal charges because all these perverts are in that place and they don't isolate them, which is what you're supposed to do. And a lot of them are supposed to be dead. They don't give them the death penalty like perverts who harm people's bodies. Okay, anyways, right? Because the behavior is always trying to act fake dominant over you, fake controlling over you, whether it's perversion or some other way, you know, like acting like they can constantly call you to meetings and talk to you and put you to the side. It was just trying to act fake dominant over you. Even if you don't say anything, at some point they're gonna just retaliate. You get me? And just accuse you. So usually they're gonna accuse you of mental illness or some sort of psychological disorder because that's who they are, right? That's who they are. But then two, at some point you'll just start seeing random strangers saying to you, "You're this, you're this, you're this," and it's just perversion. It's very horrible, heinous perversions, like the ones who go after kids. You shouldn't call them pedophiles. That's not a normal word. It's just a pervert. Okay, it's a predator. Which obviously, right, at least for the children part, a lot of these creepy perverted females, right, they try to constantly touch children in the shoulder, right, the hand, the fake hugs or whatever, all that stuff, just to also from that perversion place. That's another thing you'll see. People just trying to touch others. They don't know, touch others from, you get me, maybe you've seen them before, but just this constant trying to touch people, their body. You're going to see it. Okay.